Hi everyone, I'm Soraya. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now in today's video I show you how I start off with my hair dryer, blow dryer, and I move the paint around with this. Then I move on to a brush, and finally I do use my sponge. And you'll see the transformation of that fluid pour. It turns out not bad, but at the end I'm very happy with it. So keep watching to see how all this happens. So as you can see here, I've poured out the colors that I want to use in this fluid pour. They're very basic, the white, a dark blue, and a gold. And I start working on it as soon as it dries. Okay, so here it is all dried up, didn't take very long. And the very first thing that I see is that there's a lot of this dark blue here and here and here, basically. And there's a lot of white here. So I think I'm gonna take some of that and bring it out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm using some Pebeo Studio Payne's Gray, and I'm just gonna follow this line out a little bit more. Just bring it out. I love to enhance. If you haven't seen my videos on my pours and how I enhance, this is what I do. I do a pour, let it dry completely, and then I enhance it. And by enhancing, it just changes it up to where and how I want the painting to look. Putting colors where I want, and lines and all kinds of just to change things up, all kinds of things just to make it better. Now that was a little bit of titanium white just to soften those edges, and I talk about that in a lot of my videos too, how I like to soften up my edges so that it looks like it's just part of the painting. And in the end, I hope that this painting looks like it was just intentionally done that way. So that's my goal, is to always work towards something that looks like it's always been there. I'm finding that that brush was just a bit too big, so I'm going to go on with this little one. It's flat, just to get into these smaller areas. Now what you should do is, if you're doing this yourself, is pick out areas that you think would make the painting better. So I always look and work with what I have already and try and make it better. In my eyes, anyway. I like doing, I have a vision for myself and for what I think the painting should look like. And so I just work towards that. The beauty of these fluid pours is that, you know, we could have the same exact fluid pour, but you could enhance it in one way and I can enhance it a different way, and in the end it'll look completely different, which I think is super cool. Very interesting what your vision would look like and what my vision would look like. I find a very, I'm not sure if I should say funny, but interesting, I guess is the better word, is that when I'm asking all of you, my friends out there, to help me name a painting, what you see in the painting versus what I would see in a painting. And everyone has their own way of looking at it. And so the names that are suggested are so interesting, because some are very, could be very spiritual, and others kind of more realistic, let's say, and others tend to lean more towards a little bit moody or even scary. It's very, very interesting, and it tells a lot about the person that's seeing the painting and their state of mind, I guess, when they're seeing it. So this is what I love about this, that you can see something totally different than I do. Okay, those are looking pretty good so far. I'm just going to continue on with that. Just gone back to the other brush, the bigger brush here. Oops. and softening up those edges a little bit. This brush had been sitting in a little bit of water. I have a little bucket. It's really not a bucket. It's a Tupperware container, just a small one. And so I let it sit in there so that the paint doesn't dry on the brush itself. And so there's a tiny little bit of water. It's just a little damp when I take it out of there. And it softens things up, and I like that. I cleaned off this brush, and so it's a little bit damp, so it does have a little bit of water on it. And sometimes, you know, you make a mistake and it comes out even better than what you previously did. So that's okay. Don't worry about these kinds of things. It happens to me all the time. I show you exactly what I do all the time. I don't try and hide anything. It's all here for you to see that, you know, I'm just like you. Okay, just trying to get a nice clean edge here. Just gonna add some more of that Windsor blue along here. And I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of white to soften it up. I thought this addition is nice to kind of balance that one out there. Okay, I'm moving on to sky blue light. Just add, again, more interest. Let's see over here. A little bit of a lighter color. Well, it's a lot lighter, not just a little lighter. But I love light sky blue light. It just makes things look so beautiful. I love it in combination with purple as well. Always looks beautiful. I'm just going to continue adding this sky blue light everywhere I think it would need it. There seems to be a lot of white here. And there's big blank spaces here, and I don't like seeing all of that white. So this is, again, the sky blue light. So I'm going to continue adding that light blue everywhere. So there's a couple sections here, very white. I'm going to put a little bit of that light blue. Okay, I'm finding that I'd like to bring some of that Payne's Gray, the dark blue, here. So I'm just gonna start adding it in interesting places here. I'm gonna continue with this all the way across here. So now I have to decide where I'm gonna stop with this, and I'm thinking that this might be a good area here. Kind of connected to here, and that's kind of the basic. Okay, so you say, how do we fix this line for making it look so scraggly? Really, you're just adding some white along the edges. That's a bit much. And I do find that I love using my fingers, finger painting, to smooth those lines out. If you don't like using your finger, obviously you can use a brush, but I think it just adds another dimension to the painting, and you can place that white and soften it up where you want it exactly. A little bit more control. You can also add, if you're finding that it's not working well for you, a little bit of water just to extend this a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with, this is a little bit of titanium white. It's titanium white. Soften it all up. I'm going to keep adding this sky blue light all along here because it's such a lovely color. And just brings it all together. I'm still working on here, and I'm thinking that I'm just going to add a little bit of white just underneath where all of these lines come, just to kind of outline them. So I'm thinking this line has to get extended up, so I'm going to continue it with that. Just make it kind of more, maybe up to here, somewhere along there. So because I added this, I'm going to extend this a little bit too. And not far, I'm going to use this as a point. Since I have this Windsor blue here, I am going to maybe extend it up a little bit more into here. Use my fingers again, just to brush it where I want. So I'm adding this because the more I looked at it, the more I felt that extending these colors into here worked better. Just gonna add a little bit of light blue, just adding a little bit of more of that Windsor blue in this area. Still a lot of white here, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of the light blue. Now for added depth, I'm going to add a little bit of dioxazine purple, just kind of in the darker areas. You can see the difference that that little bit makes already. Just the smallest amount. Look at that. I'm going to keep doing that throughout the painting. Adding the water does make it a bit more transparent. So now I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise green, and let's see where. There's much more, maybe just where the blues are. Just here and there, just small amounts. So after standing back and looking at it, I'm finding that this area needs to come out a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. So now that the line or the shape has been put in, just lighten it up a little bit. Add a few more colors, and it gets blended in with everything else. So I'm going to brighten up the gold a little bit more by adding a bit of yellow, just in areas where it looks a little bit muddy because of the colors. Just see how that brightens it up. I'll show you my palette when I'm done, because I don't use a lot of color, a lot of the color that I'm using. Okay, lots of formations here, so I will cover those up just to balance out the painting cover. I'm just adding that bit of yellow. I'm going to try something here. Not sure that I'm liking this bottom. So the painting's changed quite a bit since I started, but I wasn't happy with the progression of it. And so that's why I decided to change it. And so I'm just going to keep working on it here, adding the colors I've been using. This is a little bit of the dioxazine purple and the light blue. And I'm going to add some kind of a focal point here because I've lost what I was doing. But I think I like this better now. And it gives me a chance to use my brush, my sponge. I love using my sponge for skies. I've been doing it like this for many, many years. So here's my sponge. I'm just gonna keep adding. I'm gonna leave some of that purple here. I do like it with just a sponge. This is just a regular, simple, ordinary kitchen sponge. That's all it is. This is the grubby part, which of course I don't use in my paintings. Now I've just got my brush with a little bit of titanium white, and I'm gonna start working along here, kind of bringing the idea of this kind of coming in. It's amazing how you can start off with a painting and end up with something totally different. It happens to me a lot. I do change my mind, and I don't see it as a waste of time or paint because each painting tells me where it's going. So I keep working on it until the painting is happy and I'm happy. Of course, I have to be happy too. So I think this is going to be more interesting than what I was doing before. I'm going to get to somewhere here. I'm going to say right about here, although it looks like here, but it looks like it's almost half. And it's not a good idea to put a focal point right in the middle of your painting. So it's better to have it off to the side a little bit, or even just slightly off. So I'm going to do it that way. Not sure if I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to use a little bit of the sponge down here just to smooth things out a little bit more. I just like things a little bit smoother. I keep saying that. But it's just very busy when there's so much down here. It's nice to have your eye resting in certain areas of the painting while your focus goes to the main part that you want the focus to be. Just turned the sponge around and added the sky blue light and just kind of going over some of the purple. I don't want it to be so intense. Not quite happy with this just yet. I'm not sure about this whole area anymore, so I'm going to soften that up a little bit, just maybe see some of it. Okay, so I have some white on my brush, and I'm gonna work on this. I do like having the focus pointed to this area now that I've established that as the focal point, so everything kind of has to support that. So to balance out some of this yellow, there's some here but not much up here, so I am going to add just a little bit along here. Although I really like the way it's looking, I'm finding that it's too much purple. Even though I put some at the bottom here, it's still kind of overwhelmingly too purple. So I'm gonna tone it down with some Payne's Gray and white and bring in more blue. Still leaving some of the purple because I like it. Already that's looking better. Maybe you can have some of the purple peeking through here and down here. Okay, that's definitely looking better, and I still love this section here. I don't want to touch it, but I want to bring in some more white over here. I'm going to go ahead and add some highlight right here. Even though I really like this section, I don't think it goes. I'm going to get rid of it, and I don't want to touch this part here. I really like it. So I'm going to be super careful here. And see what I can do here. I don't mind that blue. Very lovely. Okay, so throughout the video I told you about all the colors, but here they are. Amsterdam turquoise green, Liquitex Basics titanium white, Liquitex dioxazine purple, Pebeo Studio Payne's Gray, Winsor & Newton Winsor blue, Amsterdam sky blue light, and Liquitex cadmium yellow deep hue. So I've lived with the painting for a couple of days, and just to see if there's anything that I'd like to change on it at all, and I don't. I like the way it's looking. I particularly like that little bit of blue amongst all this kind of turbulence. It's a little bit of a place that you think there's something better, calmer coming. So I like that blue. Let me know what you think about this painting. I did take quite a bit of time, and it changed completely from the pour that you saw me create right at the beginning. Up close images are coming up, so check on those and click on the link you see now to see more of my tutorials.